Do you want to achieve your goals with more ease? Type me in the comment box. And do you want to create positive changes in your life? Type 2 in the chat box. Welcome to my show, The Awakening Embrace Fulfillment. I am Joakim, and today is all about energy and standards. And it's a pleasure having an incredible human being with me as a guest. So we're going to tap into what are really the key ingredients to stepping up to the moment, to life, and really create these positive changes. Maybe make a bigger impact for yourself or even people around you. So today I have an expert with me, and when I met this person, it was actually about a month ago, he made such an impact on me because of his energy and the kind of level he played by and how he always showed up. So that's why with big pleasure that I'm having here and bringing on with you, Thaddeus Lawrence. Hi, Thaddeus. Let's see, I need to mute you. Yes, there. Hi.
Excellent. Hello. We are unmuted and ready to go. Hi, Joakim.
Hi, Thaddeus. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. It's a hot day here in Singapore today. But otherwise, raring to go and see what comes out in our conversation together today.
Yes. It's I'm so thrilled to have you here. It's a pleasure to see you again, man. And could you share a little bit about yourself for those that haven't met you yet?
Sure. Well, I'll start from where we left off, which was last month. We found ourselves together in an amazing world-class event in Chennai, in India. And so that's what I do for a living. People go, what do you do for a living? I'd say, well, I use my mouth. I either tell stories or ask questions, or I learn to keep my mouth shut, to listen to what really comes out for, my coaching clients, or if we're in a training room, the hundreds of people we have there and what's going on in their lives. So I'm a student of human behavior and very curious about what gets people going, what gets people moving, what they're about, and how they intend to show up in this one precious life of theirs.
Yeah, I agree. And what you mentioned with this human behavior, what gets us going. And I have a piece of paper here, so I'm going to take some notes throughout our conversation as well. And in terms of human behavior, I know some of my followers being curious about this, and they asked me as well, like, your energy, where does that come from? So maybe let's start there in terms of behavior. First and foremost, like, why is energy and high energy so important to you, Thaddeus?
Yeah, that's, we say that everything's one thing and a thing is energy. And, I just came off a small masterclass kind of inner circle today. And there was one participant there, one of my coaching clients, who said, that when he does these programs over the weekend, and by the time Sunday night rolls around, he's on his way home, he's getting off the stage. And by Monday morning, he says, I can't get up on a Monday morning. I'm, just beat. And how do you bring yourself up on a Monday morning when you've given your 100% over the weekend? And I share that, well, our energy comes from kind of two sources, really. We are either driven from without, or we are drawn from within. To be driven from without is to say that then there's going to be something that's going to raise my energy. All right, that I play some uplifting music and that's going to raise my energy. Or I can't wake up in the morning, so I need my phone or my alarm clock to get me up in the morning. Or what's going to motivate me towards my task or towards my goals is because I, an accountability body, and that's all good. What those are is what we say we are driven from without, like outside of us. And so, yeah, you can get your energy by having a personal trainer kind of work that out in you, and you can wake up on Monday morning after giving yourself 100% full on a Sunday through an alarm clock. But when you live life where you are drawn from within, what we mean by that is that you are powered from within. What is it that will get you out of bed? What is it that you stand for? What is it that you're so acutely conscious of as to be your purpose on this earth? Or what are you so acutely conscious of as being your goals that has got this really compelling reason why they're important for you? And when you operate from that place and the clarity from that place, then your energy is drawn from within. And so anything else is an additional supplement, if you like, to get you active, get you out of bed, get you motivated, to get you with your eyes wide open, with you, going on and on and on and on, right? Really going far in your life. But when you're drawn from within, then all that becomes way, way more powerful and a lot more sustainable as well.
And I love that word that you answer with there, like with sustainable. And this reminds me of something I picked up along the way. I totally agree with you, because we can look at these external things and be motivated by that. Maybe even we look at some role models. You talked about accountability partner, and find yourself, like, okay, that sounds great. Or maybe looking at a role model, I want to be that. And then you flip around, like, what's the most sustainable thing? Instead of being motivated by that outside thing, what can really drive us with that inspiration from within? And you mentioned purpose there. Are there any other things that you found that really drives you, help you maybe connect with that purpose and really keeps you going?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you use the word inspiration, and the word inspiration is derived from to inspire, and the Latin root word for inspire is inspirare. And what inspirare means is to breathe. So if we were all to take a breath in right now and then connect with that and ask ourselves, what does our breath do for us? Yes, the breath can relax us. Yes, the breath can fill us with energy, and yes, everything else. But fundamentally, breathing keeps us alive. If anyone has any doubts about that, just stop breathing for an hour or two and then see what happens. So to inspire, or to be inspired, is to breathe. And when we are inspired by something really amazing, a wonderful project, or a great mission, or by our purpose, this is how we live life. We breathe. You can't help but go, yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, let's do this. Yes, let's bring it on. But the problem with a lot of people is they don't breathe, literally also in their lives, right? We go through these days where there's so much to do, and most people end up breathing very shallowly, whereby, it's almost as if they are hyperventilating through life, versus really stopping and taking a big breath in and questioning and asking, what is it that drives me here? What is it that I'm driven from within, right? That's going to have me go, yeah, bring it on. I can't wait. If we were to look at you as an example, Joakim, right? You are a great listener, and we can teach people the skills of listening and tell them and say, look, yeah, when someone's talking, don't talk, learn to ask the right questions, listen for this, listen to that. But that's driven from without. That's a skill of listening. Now, you don't just have the skill of listening, Joakim, you are curious about people. And when you come from the inside, I'm curious. I'm really interested in what this person is. I'm curious. You naturally know how to listen. And that is that distinction between being inspired versus, I need some kind of motivation to move me.
Yeah. And what I sense from you as well is a big curiosity towards oneself, of embracing oneself with curiosity. And that reminds me of, I read something you wrote, and that is a spirit of curiosity is without question a gift. Could you elaborate upon the meaning of that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. If we look into the context of us even having this conversation, the reason why we're having this conversation is that you're curious about, me, or any knowledge or any wisdom I have. People who are listening in right now are curious about how they could use some of what they're hearing here for their own selves, for their own lives. I'm curious as to how this conversation is going to take place. And I'm curious about what I myself can learn out of this time that we have together here. So if we look at life as a game, And if we are curious about how we play this game, what could transpire if we look into life as I say, life is like a multi-day ultra marathon. And the reason for that is every day we need to get up, we need to do it all over again. And every day we are wanting the motivation, the momentum to keep going and to keep going. And every day we're hoping to get closer to that finish line that we set for ourselves. So the thing about coming back to that word sustainability is you can't sprint through a marathon, right? You can sprint a section of it, but can you sustain that for the entire race, for the entire distance? So in life, we're looking to go far.
Yeah.
So as I go far, when you think about why people want to run ultra marathons, why do people want to climb mountains? Why do people even travel? It's because we are curious. We're curious what the place looks like. We're curious about what the food tastes like. We're curious about what the people are there like. We are curious about the weather over there. We are curious about the adventures that we can have. We're curious about this entire new experience that we can create for ourselves. And so if we approach life with that curiosity, what might happen? What might happen if I did this? What might happen if I did that? If I just went there, what might I see? If I just spoke to him, what might I hear? Then life becomes play. Life becomes that game. And life becomes fun.
And I love all these words you come up with now. Yes, curiosity, we talked a lot about that. And it makes it fun. And these things, what I found, are actually something we can embrace as our core values. That's one thing I found to be such a key driver to one connect like with a purpose and coming back to those values. What do I really want my life to be about? Curiosity, fun, feeling healthy, feeling courageous. What are some of your values, Thaddeus?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that last word you put, which is being courageous. And courage exists in the face of fear. If there's no fear, there's no courage. If I asked you to do something and you felt fear about it, but then you did it anyway, that is to say, you summoned up some courage. But if you didn't feel any fear and you just did it, well, there was no courage there. So when we explore courage exists in the face of fear. And what's the thing that most people are afraid of? Or what is one predominant fear that most people have is the fear of failure. That is to say, I get it wrong, or that there was a problem with what I did and said. But you see, if I was curious, then I would have failure. I would see failure very differently. Right? If I'm curious that, I just bought a new phone and I'm curious about what that button does. And so now I'm open to whatever is going to happen on the phone the moment I press that button. Right? So, and if the button, something happens or something doesn't happen, well, there's no failure there, is there? Because I'm just curious. But what's that? I'm like, right, I just discovered something. Oh, wow, okay, so it did that. I just found out something. Well, where's that failure?
What's the worst thing that can happen? You might learn something.
Right, yeah. And if I go, well, okay, I want to call somebody and I think this is the button that does it. And then I realize, no, this button did something else. Okay, great, fine. Let me find the next button. I don't go like, oh my God, this button didn't call someone. I think I'm going to cry over this for the next 20 years and then not ever touch a phone again.
Looking forward. We might have made something that was not the intention, but then it's about looking forward, right?
Yeah.
And
it's having that childlike curiosity.
Yes. Hey, for those of you who listen in, if you have a question for Thaddeus or me as well, put it in the chat box. Write question first so we can easily spot your question. Now we have people listening in here on YouTube as well. So put your question in the chat box if anything comes up. And I'm very curious, Thaddeus, you mentioned the word sprint, marathon, courage, these things. So I would like to dig into what kind of impact these things have had, because I know you accomplished, something very few people get to do, I guess, in terms of our foot race you accomplished. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, it's an elite club called the Four Deserts Club, and what the Four Deserts Club is a a group of individuals who have been to the four deserts of the Sahara Desert, and for me, it was in the Egyptian side of the Sahara Desert. There was the Gobi Desert in on the inside of China, the Atacama Desert in Chile, and the Polar Desert of Antarctica. And in each of these four deserts, we run, walk, limp, or crawl, usually in that particular order, 250 kilometers each. So for a combined total of 1,000 kilometers.
That's huge. And when you mention these things, I haven't, I've been through such a race. My career started in 10 years in the armed force. So what this reminds me of is, it's been through some exercises and day ins and day outs of working out, being out in the field and forest. And like you mentioned, this is like one step at a time looking forward. And what I learned through that experience, which I'm curious to dig into with you as well, is there's a lot more to give when you think you're really tired. There is usually another level. And that brings us also back to like, how can you really bring this forth from within, like finding that inspiration from within? So for you, when you've been going through this race, I can imagine there might be some hard times. So how have you been able to keep really going then when things have been tough?
Yeah. I was saying that in the ultra endurance race of life, whether it's a physical race or the race of our life, is first you run with your legs, then you run with your head, then you run with your heart. Whereby when the legs start to give up, right, the mind kind of kicks in, right, to overcome whatever that might be going on with the body. But then then the mind is fallible that way. And then what kicks in next is the heart. And the heart really speaks of the why you're doing this. Whenever I speak to people about the ultra marathons and they're like, oh, my gosh, that's amazing. I could never do anything like that. I couldn't do that. I can't do that. I can't go that far. I've only ever run 5 kilometers. I can't do 250 kilometers. And I often correct them. And I say, it's not that you can't go that far. What you really mean to say is that you can't think of a reason why you would want to go that far. See, if you had a compelling why, you would go that far. But if there's no why, well, can't think of why I won't want to do that. So therefore, I'll just say, well, I can't go that far. Can't even imagine it. I wouldn't even want to do it. I wouldn't even get to the start line of this. So it's not that you can't. It really is that you can't think of a reason why. Right? And the same goes for anything else in life. I can't do sales. Well, maybe you can't think of a reason why you want to sell that particular product or service. Or I can't make it on time. Really? Or maybe you can't think of a reason why you want to go all out to make sure that you're on time. Right? So everything that you say, I can't, to a degree, it might have to do with skills. For example, if you ask me to speak German or Dutch or French right now, I say, well, I can't, I don't have the skill set. But if there's a compelling reason for me to speak any of those languages, well, give me a couple of weeks. I'll be back. And then I'll speak that.
And that's a beautiful way of like kind of setting the expectation as well. Like, maybe not right now, but give me a couple of weeks. And as you say, I totally agree with you. It's all about those reasons why, because when it becomes a must, and I like to turn fear on itself as well, think of the consequences. So I realize I'm probably very motivated by that. What will happen if I don't succeed? If I stay where I am, I think of those reasons to really keep me going, because really fun, as you say, it boils down to the reasons. And another thing I find remarkable with what you said is just that presence you have when you talk with people, I guess maybe comes back to curiosity. You mentioned, when people use particular words, you say you like to reframe them in a way like maybe what you meant to say is the following. So what are you saying to yourself when you're going through these ultra races that you've been completing?
Well, I tell you what, people say, what are you saying to yourself? What are you thinking of when you go on these ultra races? Well, I tell you what, there are two things that I think a lot of. Number one, I think of food a lot. I'm thinking about all the good stuff that I could be eating.
I think of you about all the time.
Think about food all the time, right? Much less when you're doing an ultra marathon, where you're burning and consuming so much energy. And I don't know about you, I get hungry a lot whenever I go for a long run. So I think about food a lot. And interestingly, I think a lot about people a great deal. I think about my life. I think about, my relationships. I think about my customers. I think about my clients. I think about my friends. I think about, and I'd say the quality of our lives is reflected in the quality of our relationships. All right. Show me your relationships and you'll show me your life. And when you think about all the good things that happen in your life, all the bad things that happen in your life, your highs and your lows, your happy, joyous moments, your sad, miserable moments, there was always somebody else involved. Either there was somebody else right next to you, there was somebody who was the cause of it, or there was somebody who was the reason for it. Someone did something, didn't do something, said something, didn't say something, there's always somebody with you. So the quality of our lives is reflected in the quality of our relationships. I was out for a walk yesterday with a friend of mine who is also an international trainer and a coach. And he's from the UK, lives in Portugal, and he was here in Singapore. And I'd taken out for a walk, showed him around Singapore. And at one point he remarked, he says, I'm living this. I've been to Singapore many times before, but I've never seen, what you're showing me right now. And at the same time, while I'm being present to that, I'm being so present to this conversation that we're having. And Joakim, if the quality of our lives is reflected in the quality of relationships, then the quality of our relationships is reflected in the quality of our conversations.
Yes.
So he's going, well, I'm enjoying a conversation, and, it'd be great if, can imagine 10, 20, 30 years from now, our relationship deepens, we stay as friends, we'll be having more of these conversations. And I said this, I said, yes, but not only that, if our relationship deepens, and we continue having these sort of conversations, in 20, 30, 40 years from now, we'll be having these conversations, but with a big difference. And the big difference is this. First of all, we're no longer kind of famous, right? In that sense, whereby, this work that we do, we're in big stages in front of hundreds of people, or sometimes thousands of people. And we become that persona that people aspire to, or people want to hear from, and they'll go like, oh, can I get your autograph? Can I take a selfie? And I said, that's all good for now, but in 20, 30 years from now, we'll be irrelevant. We're no longer famous. 20, 30 years from now, our fortunes don't matter anymore. Right now, we're in wealth creation and wealth accumulation and so on. But you know what, 20, 30 years from now, we're not going to be sitting there talking about how much money that we have. 20, 30 years from now, people don't even want to have sex with us anymore. Right? When you think about why a lot of people do what they do, or the kind of things that get in their way, I coach coaches and trainers, and I say, you got to be careful. They say, what's the secret to making it to the big stage? I say there could be three things, any one of those three things that could take you out of the game: fame, fortune, and sex. Because when you become famous, it's quite easy for you to forget who you really are. And understand this: your fame, the people are not in love with you, they're in love with your brand, they're in love with your persona. So when people get famous, they forget themselves. Two is fortune. When people have a lot of money, it can get to them. You talk differently, you treat people differently, or not.
Yeah.
And third is well, sex. You get people who literally want to make out with you because of the energy that you put forth on stage. You become literally very attractive. And when you put these three together, it's all about power. And so the power could make you, or the power could break you. And so I was sharing this friend of mine. I said, well, we won't have power anymore 20, 30 years from now. I mean, I'm 50 now, or 51 this year. So when I'm 80, when I'm not 90, yeah, no one wants to have sex with me. I'm not sure if I can even have sex when I'm 90. I'll tell you when I get there.
Yeah, let's have another conversation.
Yeah. We probably wouldn't be on stage anymore. You know, no one's going to be following me on social media. There'll be someone else, right? They're going to care about someone else.
Yeah, there might be someone else who follows you if you want to continue on this path.
Exactly, right? I'm not sure whether 34 years from now you want me on your podcast, right? And certainly at age, we won't be talking about money. So power wouldn't matter anymore. So which means we get back to who we truly are and why we are in relationship with each other. And that is the thing that's going to remain. And that is going to reveal who you really are.
Yeah, and I love this of remembering who you are. And for me, that means a lot about what are those values that I stand for, that I want to experience on a consistent basis. You've been talking a lot about different things with, that feeling energized, feeling healthy. You got to be healthy to complete these kind of runs, being that curiosity, having that, the courage. And so, I love that remembering who you are, because it comes also back to the purpose, which you mentioned. I see we got a question from one of the others. We're going to bring that up very soon. And it's just listening to all the gems that you're sharing, the insights, your presence. The word that comes to my mind is really standards, Thaddeus. Like the standards you decide, because I bet that is what it's about, decide to live by. What is the impact of your, first foremost, maybe what does standards mean to you?
When we do things in our lives, oftentimes is to have us feel good. I'm gonna do this kind of work because it makes me feel good. I'm going to make this kind of money because when I spend the money, it makes me feel good. I'm going to eat because when I eat, it makes me feel good. And that's important. In addition to that, or perhaps more profound than that, is not so much what makes you feel good, but what makes you feel good about yourself. So, for example, I could go on stage and speak. That makes me feel good. It makes me feel really good to be on stage, to speak. It's part of a performance. I get to make a difference. I tell stories and I see the reactions of people's faces coming back at me. But what's going to make me feel good about myself are the standards that I bring, right? Among other things, right? Standards. Yesterday, I saw someone's LinkedIn post and she had tagged me on that, and it was a photograph of her. So it's the back of her, and she's looking onto the stage, and the stage had me standing on it. There was no one else. It was an empty room. And what was going on? I was doing this training program, and the program was meant to start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was there at 7. There were a couple of people who were there. I asked them to turn on the lights. This big hotel ballroom. And we had about 525 people due to come in at, not for the 9 o'clock program. And this lady, this picture of her just looking at me standing on stage, she said, people were just awakening. Some people were just coming into the room. The crew was coming into the room. The AV staff was setting things up, and the lights were being switched on. And she said, and this man was on stage practicing. He didn't need to be up there so early. He probably, having done this for so many times and so long, doesn't need to practice. But here he is, here before everyone else, practicing. There's a Chinese proverb that goes like this: 台上10分钟，台下10年功, which translates into the 10 minutes that you have on stage is earned through 10 years of hard work. So the 10 years of hard work is to set and maintain and to push a certain level of standards for yourself. Like when I train, I want to be the best trainer, not best in comparison to other people, but the best for my audience at that time. I want to be at my absolute best. Because when I am at my absolute best, I feel good about myself. When I do what it takes to be at my absolute best, I feel good about myself. When I go running, like later on today, I'll go out for a run. Sometimes I feel good during the run. Sometimes the run is laborious. So when I go running, I might feel good. I might not feel good. But the fact that I've been out running, I always feel good about myself. Because I said I was going to go out for a run and I went out for a run. I don't care how the run went. It may have been a struggle. It may have been painful. I might have ended up walking half of it. But I feel good about myself.
Yes.
Because that is why I went out for a run. Will I get fitter? Yeah, absolutely. Will I lose some weight? Yeah, absolutely. Will I build my stamina? Absolutely. But all that will come over a course of time. But what got me out there was a lot more deeper than simply, am I going to look good or am I going to feel good at the end of it? Right. And that's where a lot of people perhaps struggle with, is because they're looking to feel good in that moment. Right. That's why when they're presented with a healthy plate of food versus something that is more sinful, but a lot more tasty, they'll go for the one that makes them feel good. Or do I go do what I said I was going to do today, or do I procrastinate and then maybe I'll just, watch Netflix or surf my Instagram? They tend to go for the one that has the instant gratification. They feel good in the moment, but then after that, or even during it, they feel lousy about themselves. Oh, I still haven't done this. Oh my gosh, I've let myself down. So they feel more and more progressively terrible about themselves. But all that instant gratification of feeling good cannot overcome that depth of despair, which is, I don't feel good about myself.
Yeah, I love how you tie this back to that concept of being inspired from within, and really what draws from within to keep you going. With what you're saying there, that standards for you is about what makes you feel great. I got one more question. We have one question from the audience. Then we're going to wrap this up. I'm conscious of time and respectful of your time, Thaddeus. And with what you said here, like when people are presented with a plate of something that might be even more sinful or not so supporting in the long run, it could be easy to go into that instant satisfaction, instant gratification. And that brings me to something I talk about, that many people, they go for this pleasure in the moment, or really just pleases them there and then. And it's a way to, like, sometimes it's okay to like have a break off, we collapse on the sofa, relax, watch a movie, or indulge in some things. Some of this can be good. The problem is, like, if 90% of the time is spent there to like escape or life or thoughts or emotion, and then using pleasure for that. Or some people, like, they go for that mediocrity, like we have an awareness they want something, but as you've been saying, many people are procrastinating. That's, in my opinion, means like they're settling for the crumbs of what life has to offer. For example, you talked about relationships, and instead of like having these deep, meaningful conversations and pursuing that passion and love, people go for like a surface level connection because of some fear, or they're not that drawn from within to their purpose or what this really could give them. And in my view, that really robs them of a fulfilled life, the things that makes life rich and meaningful, when you really embrace the fullness of life with that curiosity, and you know what keeps you going with that purpose, and you know what your life want to be about, which is like these values. So my last question for you before we dig into a participant question is, what does it mean to you to live a fulfilled life?
Well, I'm going to come back to you, Joakim, right? To embrace fulfillment. I absolutely love that, because to embrace fulfillment puts the responsibility in my hands, that it takes me to go and embrace the
Yeah.
fulfillment rather than simply, well, let me just sit here and hopefully fulfillment is going to land on my laps. When I open my eyes, fulfillment is going to be there.
Yeah.
Well, no, if it's that, you still need to go and embrace it. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever happens in your life requires you to play a part in it, not you as the spectator in your life. Well, if you choose to be a spectator, by all means, sure, go for it. I just find that it's a bit more fun and meaningful when I'm the scriptwriter, when I'm the director, when I'm the producer, and then approach this movie of life with a certain sense of curiosity and go like, how will it all pan out? How will it all end? What would the journey entail? And that allows me to embrace the fulfillment more than me spectating, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the fulfillment land on my laps. Typically, it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And for me, it comes back to really making these decisions, because we were talking about like being that director, really taking that responsibility. So I love that. I'm just conscious of time. In a few sentences, we have a question from the audience, one who tuned in here. And that comes back to, what is your daily routine like? And especially in the morning, Thaddeus, how do you really prime yourself and set yourself up for the day? Maybe there are even some rituals you're doing.
My rituals revolve around the 4 sources of our energies: the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical. So if we start from the physical, for me, my morning and evening rituals cover all 4 of these 4 sources. So physical could be as simple as, there we go, I start my day with 2 glasses of water.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. There we go. Some kind of a workout. And emotional source of energy is through a gratitude practice, and also a spiritual practice would be through prayer. And a mental practice for me is to do some kind of reading and some kind of journaling. So that under each of these sources of energies, there are multiple kind of activities, practices, or things we could do. So rather than tell people, what to do, because what works for me may not work for you, I'd invite people to focus on their 4 sources of energy and go, how could you fill yourself that way, to get you to begin your day and also get you to wrap up your day that way.
Yeah, and I totally align with you on these practices. I too found, you mentioned this meditation, and one thing I do in the morning, or these mornings when I do it, so that's the reason why I've been doing it more and more often, is seeing some outcomes that I want to achieve and like celebrate them in advance, coming back to what I'm grateful for. And then journaling as well helps me just build upon the curiosity that we've been talking about. Like, what can I learn? And what happened today? What did I learn from it? What worked? What didn't work? And some other questions.
Absolutely. And be curious about what works for you. And that's why I'm typically quite hesitant in giving people a kind of off-the-shelf answer. What time should I wake up? What should I do? Well, I don't know what you should do. You would know. Go get curious. Go test it out.
Yeah.
Right? And I say, if there are people who follow certain kind of like gurus who say things like, you meet you up at 6 in the morning, and then you go listen to another guru and the person says, no, 5 o'clock is the golden hour. And then you go listen to another guru and the person is going to say, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock is this sort of hour. You listen to someone else, they'll say 3 o'clock is the time of angels. Well, if you listen to all the gurus, you never go to sleep. So rather than have someone tell me what time, or tell you what time you should wake up, go be curious. What works best for you? What time to wake up? How to wake up? What you do when you wake up? And what is it that gets you purposeful, being on purpose for that day? What is it that's gonna energize you for that morning? We are not short on things to do. It's like people go like, I want to lose weight. How do I lose weight? Well, for crying out loud, you knew that, right? If you want to lose weight, go work on your nutrition.
Yeah.
And you exercise. What you put in your body and what you do with your body. Of course, you know what to do to lose weight. Well,
Yeah.
I want to make more money. Well, okay. Well, if you want to make more money, you know what you could do to make more money, right? Go, go invest your money. Go get a better job. Go, start up. We're not short on things to do.
Mm.
But what's going to work for you?
Yeah.
Right. What is it that has you go inspired that way by your own self, by your own life? Get curious about that.
I believe with that, Thaddeus, you were able to close the loop, coming back to curiosity and the energy. Man, it's been such an honor having you on. I'm really conscious of the time. So thank you very much. And you guys who listen in, hit a thumbs up on this video if you think Thaddeus shared something valuable to you. Hit the subscribe button to get notified of other upcoming sessions. Thaddeus, if there are any final words, shoot it out. It's been true pleasure having you. So really appreciate that you took the time to come on here to share with us and your insights and sharing your experience.
Yeah, you bet. I had a great time. I didn't realize that time had flown by, and just being in such flow. And I'd say this, if whoever's listening in here and your listeners, if you want to get more of life, if you want to embrace the fulfillment in your life, follow this man here. Yeah, Joakim. He's your man, right? Who he brings on to his shows, the wisdom that he brings, the experiences and the knowledge. You could do a whole lot worse with somebody else. So you're here in the right place. You're here with the right person, right? Joakim's your man.
Thanks, Dan. Yes, appreciate that. So guys, it's been a pleasure. And just want to let you know that coming up, there is going to be a 5-day challenge you can join me for by the end of October. So you can really take charge, be the director of your life, and make progress towards what's going to make life rich and fulfilling for you. So join me for that. And with that, Thaddeus, make yourself a great rest of your day. I know it's afternoon there, but enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening, and looking forward to next time, buddy.
Awesome. See you soon.